Okay, here we are. Now I get asked this question a lot, and it is, Ryan, what is the best motorcycle trip planning application and which ones do you use? So in this video, I'm gonna go over 4 very popular motorcycle trip planning applications for street and off-road adventure riding and what you need to know about each because they all have their strengths and weaknesses. Just understand that there is no perfect trip planning app and much of it is going to depend on your personal needs. Welcome back, Bikeaholics. Ryan Urlacher here, lawabidingbiker.com. I always thank you, that's right, you, for checking back in. So recently I've been doing some very intense motorcycle trip planning for this season for both street and adventure off-road. Now I've used the apps that I'm going to talk about over the years and I do have much experience with them except for RideCommand, which I more recently started using and testing, but I definitely have a good handle on it. Now I'm not affiliated with any of the companies or apps that I'm going to talk about, but I will leave links to each app that I talk about in the description below. I'll also leave some other cool links of things you should definitely check out. So what I'm about to tell you are just my thoughts and opinions based on my experiences using these apps over the years. I hope that by me sharing my experiences, it may help other riders make a choice on which app might work best for them. So I just want to go over a few things before we dive in too deep, and that is some of the apps I'm going to talk about do allow trip planning on a smartphone. However, it's cumbersome and time consuming on all of them, unless it's just a quick trip and direct fastest route type situation. Now, the fastest way to plan motorcycle trips is via a desktop computer, and then you sync your ride to your smartphone. And if you have a trackpad on your laptop or desktop where you can pinch and zoom, it makes it a much better experience rather than zooming in and out with a plus or minus button on the screen. Now there is cloud syncing between devices for your planned rides, and that's standard on all of these apps. Also understand that when exporting a GPX file from any of these apps and then uploading it to another app or device, they don't always talk nice, and there are often route deviations that need to be corrected. And last, I want to say that 2 of these apps are paid and 2 are free. Now, although we all like free stuff, the drawback is that when there is an issue or a bug, it may be a lot longer before they are fixed. And good luck getting a response to your emails from anyone about the reported issues. With a paid subscription, when an issue or bug arises, a company usually listens and issues are fixed timely, and there are more frequent updates based on user feedback. All right, so let's dive into these 4 apps. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon every time those are hit. Another biker joins the revolution, and we would certainly love to have you be part of it. So let's first talk about Harley-Davidson Ride Planner, which has a free online account for anybody who wants to sign up. It is web-based, so you plan your ride on their website. Now, it has had issues on and off over the years, but it has come a long way and is becoming more and more polished over time. Now there are 4 map styles to choose from, such as regular, satellite, hybrid, etc. Plenty of filters to choose from, such as gas stations, dealerships, events, restaurants, and of course you can avoid tolls, avoid paved roads, and things like that. So when you're planning your ride, you can enter an address for a waypoint or just make a waypoint, and you can easily drag points to guide your route where you want it to go. And you can change the name of each waypoint how you like it. You can actually click on a waypoint on the map and then it gives it a name. I think that's a super important feature for any ride planner these days. Now there is no 3D map option right now, and I really hope they bring that. That's more important for adventure off-road planning so that you can really see the terrain instead of that 2D model. And finally, something we've been asking for years, and that is the ability to import GPX files to Ride Planner. We could always export, but as of recent, they finally added that feature. And remember what I said up front about free options? Well, it took them several years to add that, but we're glad it's here. So I tested it and exported a GPX file from InRoute, which we're going to talk about that app in a minute. And I imported it to Ride Planner, and it did very well and showed the exact route. So that's awesome. And I really like that Ride Planner shows the mileage and the ride time between each waypoint. This way I can see the total ride time and mileage for each day of a long distance multi-day ride. Super important to me. Now, there are still bugs when adding a new waypoint after the ride is already planned. You want to slip something else in. It messes up the order, and then you have to drag and drop to try to get the ride back in the proper order. Again, we've been complaining about that for years. Now, I do wish Ride Planner would add the ability to put dates and times on rides, such as departure date, return date, and all the places you stop in between. Tends to keep your ride a little bit more organized and gives you a good overview of it. Now, they've always had on-road routing, and now recently they've added off-road routing, and that's because of the release of the new Pan America, Harley's first adventure bike. And off-road routing basically lets you just put waypoints and make a path wherever you want, even where there are no roads showing on the map. So there is a mobile app for both iOS and Android. And of course, on that mobile app, you can get voice and visual turn-by-turn directions, or you can get it right on the boombox infotainment itself, of course. Now, when you're syncing from desktop to mobile, just understand on the mobile, there can be map deviations right now. It's been a bug for a while, so just be sure you look that over before you rely on it. Now, I wish there was the ability to reverse your route on mobile, but there is not right now, only on desktop. The reason I like that is if you're going somewhere, especially some adventure trips where you're riding from point A to, say, a one-way trip to the top of a mountain, and then you're going to come back the same way, it's really nice to get directions on the way back so you can just reverse that route. But it's not an option at this time. And I really like the Ride It feature on desktop, and especially the smartphone app. And that basically allows you to move the timeline throughout your trip and see a dot move while you do that. And on mobile, it shows you the weather along the route. It's a very nice feature. Now, once you get your ride planned, you can easily share a link with your friends, or you can check out other riders' rides. There is somewhat of a community in there. Or you can simply export a GPX file for upload to your boombox or other GPS device. Now, you can record rides on your smartphone app or the boombox itself. I really like that you can download maps from around the world for offline use on your smartphone. Now, this does use up phone storage, so be aware, just download the maps that you need. I do prefer to have maps of locations I'm traveling already downloaded in the background, especially for off-road and remote places where there is no cell service. Now, one common misconception by a lot out there is you'll hear they say, that's why I only use a dedicated GPS device, because if I lose cell service, I won't know where I am. It's not true anymore. With the ability, like Ride Planner, to download those maps in the background, it allows you to see where you are even when there's no cell service. If you don't download those maps ahead of time and you open up your planner app, on your smartphone, you'll just see a blue dot with no map behind it, so you won't really know where you are. But by downloading those maps ahead of time and having them there, they will underlay under the blue dot, so you'll be able to see where you are even without cell service. So hope that clears that up for some of you. We'll finish up here, and I don't like that there's no specific iPad app for Ride Planner. Hopefully that's coming. And it's not supported on Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And real quick, I'll mention that we do have a very popular tutorial video on how to use Harley-Davidson Ride Planner. We'll help flatten the learning curve so you can spend less time learning and more time riding. It is very thorough. We've been selling it for years, helping bikers around the world most effectively use Ride Planner. We'll show you all the tips and tricks in there to most effectively use it, and then of course get it uploaded to your boombox and use it on your boombox. Also get in-depth if you want to use it on the mobile app itself. Anyways, I'll put a link in the description below. And with that said, if you're new, we also have a complete boombox tutorial series. It's a 3-video series. The first one is how to effectively use the boombox, the older model or the new GTS. All the hidden menus, tips, tricks, so you can get the most out of that unit because it is very capable, but it can be a little bit overwhelming to learn up front. The second video in that series is how to update your GPS maps, your dealer locations, and update your software within those boombox systems. And again, we've got them all covered. And of course, the third is our Ride Planner tutorial. Again, I'll link to it in the description below. So next, let's talk about Revver. Now, this is a paid option. It's $5 a month for a pro plan, basically $60 a year. It is web-based, so they have a website where you plan your ride. And I will say that they have one of the busiest yet good-looking user interfaces I do like that they have Butler Maps integrated within, for those of you familiar with Butler Maps. Within there, you can find the best roads, better roads, good roads, lost highways, paved mountain trails, and featured dirt roads. And you can turn those filters on and off. And each of them has a different color code for the different types of roads. Now, Revver does have 4 map styles to choose from, such as regular, satellite, and others. Plenty of filters to choose from. Such as fuel, lodging, camping, food. You can avoid tolls, ride twisties, or unpaved roads. And you can easily enter addresses for your start and end point and everything in between. And then you can drag those routes around very easily to get them the way you like. I don't like Revver for this, and that is they don't give you the ability to rename a waypoint. It chooses for you the name, and it's usually by address. The reason I like to name them is when you get a multi-day trip, you can put, if you're stopping in hotels, you can put the name of the hotel, or if it's lunch at a specific restaurant. I really like the ability to be able to name that. So if you're listening, Revver, hopefully you add that in the future. And once you get your waypoint set up, you can easily drag and drop them to change or rearrange them. Now, this is another thing that I don't like about Revver right now, and that is it only shows the trip time and distance. There is no time and distance between waypoints, unlike Ride Planner, which we previously mentioned. The reason I like that so much is I can look at each day and I can really get a sense in the morning before I leave of what I'm looking at for mileage and time in between all those different waypoints. So I certainly hope they add that in the future. Now, Revver does have 3D maps, which is very nice so that you can see your terrain better, especially for those adventure rides. Now, once you get your ride planned, you can share it via a link with your friends. And within Revver are shared rides, communities, and challenges. They've got a lot going on. And with all of that becomes a very busy and more cluttered user interface, in my opinion. Now, Law Abiding Biker Media does have a Revver community for our beloved patron members. That's just one benefit of many. If you're interested, I will link to it in the description below. Now, you can also import or export a GPX file of your ride, and it is disappointing that there is no iPad-specific app at this time. They do have a mobile app for iOS or Android smartphones, and within those apps, you can record your rides. Now, you can also see a 3D render of your planned trip on the mobile version. It's kind of cool. And you can download maps of a ride ahead of time on mobile for offline use, like I talked about previously. Just remember, it does use storage on your smartphone. And I do like that you can reverse the route right there on mobile, especially for those one-way trips where you want to come back the same exact route. And at this time, it is only supported on Apple CarPlay. And if you're new to the channel, this is a community of bikers helping bikers. So leave your comments below in the community and let everybody know what Ride Planner app you use and what makes it so awesome. Also, if you want to see me do a complete thorough tutorial video on any of the apps mentioned here, leave it in the comments below. I'll see what I can do. Next, we're going to talk about InRoute, another paid option at $30 a year, which is only half the price of Revver. Now, InRoute has been around a while and it is very robust. I like that it's not as busy as Revver and it just works well with no major glitches. It's just simpler to find everything, in my opinion. I like that InRoute focuses solely on motorcycle ride planning with no other fluff. It doesn't try to do everything, and they keep focused on what the app is built for, unlike Revver that tries to do a lot of different things. InRoute is definitely more organized than Revver. I really like that you can make different folders of rides and name them. It really helps keep organized, such as adventure local rides or club street rides or whatever folders you want to make, and then you can put a bunch of rides that you plan in those folders. Now, InRoute is for Mac or iOS only. It is not for PC or Android at this time. And it's different than the others as it's not really web-based. You see, you must have the app for Mac desktop to plan your ride, or of course you can do it on mobile. I'll also say that InRoute has a beautiful, full dedicated, full-featured iPad app. It works the same when planning as your desktop, and it's very nice to use. Now, if you like planning on an iPad, then this is going to be the app for you for sure. Now, InRoute doesn't necessarily have filters such as fuel, lodging, camping, food, etc., but there are filters for things like avoiding ferries, tolls, ride the most curvy roads or least curvy roads, and a whole bunch more. Now, there are 3 map styles to choose from, such as regular, hybrid, or dark, and I really like, as mentioned before, in InRoute, you can name your waypoints for organization, and even more, you can color your pins different colors to mean different things. That's a really nice feature. Now, InRoute is very unique and works different than all the rest when you're actually planning your ride. You see, you can't click and drag routes like on the other maps. Instead, you must drop a pin and then another to try to get the desired route you want to take. And if you're wrong, then you have to erase or you can move the pin. Another thing to be aware of is once the pin is marked as an official waypoint, you can't move it on the map. You've got to erase it, or you have to go to your route options and then drag things around to your liking. Now, this can take just a little bit more time, but I will say that once you get used to it, it's not that bad. Now, like Harley Ride Planner, InRoute tells you the miles and time between waypoints, which, as previously mentioned, I really like for seeing what's in store for a particular day or ride. It also offers 3D maps, both desktop and mobile, which is great for seeing that terrain. Now, InRoute is also unique in this area is that it has elevation, temperature, humidity, precipitation, wind speed for your entire route as you go through your route. And it really kills the competition in this area. Very nice feature. Now, it also has your GPS coordinates for each pin and current location. This is great for remote areas for knowing your location for emergencies. You can also import or export GPX files. Now, when sharing, you can email a ride and that will send directions with an attached GPX file. There is no share link like on some of the other apps where you can share a URL with a friend, but that's okay because another user could just take your GPX file and upload it themselves. And remember, there's only a mobile app for iOS for InRoute at this time, and it's only Apple CarPlay compatible, not Android Auto. One of the things I don't like is you can't record a ride like on the other apps, and I hope they add this eventually. Now, the routes are stored on your device so you can't access them even when you lose your cellular connection, and I really like that you can reverse the route on mobile. Now, I think you get more bang for your buck than Revver at this point if you're mostly interested in solid ride planning. And just real quick, if you appreciate this video and all the content that we put out to help as many bikers as we can worldwide, there is a way you can support us by becoming a patron member. I will link to it in the description below. There are benefits for signing up, such as t-shirts and stickers. You can get access to the private Facebook group, which is a troll-free zone. It is nothing but bikers helping bikers in there. Access to podcasts early, live video broadcasts and chat, premium videos upon request, and of course, access to those ride meetup and events. All right, let's dive back into the video. All right, so let's finish it off with Indian RideCommand. Now, anyone can get a free online account, so it is a free option, and it works similar to Harley Ride Planner with much less options and functionality. Additionally, it doesn't have any off-road routing like Ride Planner does. It does have a very clean UI, it's snappy, it works well, but again, in my opinion, it's just a really dumbed down application. Now, there are only two map styles to choose from, which are regular and satellite, and just like in Harley Ride Planner, you can drag your routes around to get them where you want it, and you can simply click on a waypoint to remove it. And you can reorder your waypoints like all the other apps. Now, RideCommand has no 3D viewing on the map when actually planning your ride, but I do like that it does tell you the time and distance between your locations or waypoints, and you can custom name the locations and addresses that you enter. Now, a couple things I didn't like about RideCommand is when you're actually on desktop and you're planning your ride, you see on the left side is an address search box, and on the right side is your route box, and you can't close or minimize either of them. So basically what you're left with is a square in the center of your screen where you can actually see the map and plan your ride. I wish you could close those or minimize them to give you more screen real estate so you can really dive in and see your map when you're planning your ride. Additionally, RideCommand has no filters to avoid highways, ferries, tunnels, or unpaved roads. So I went in and actually tested this, and I entered known dirt roads and routes, and RideCommand said nothing about it and gave me no warnings. So that's no good in my opinion, because you could end up on some undesired roads within your route. So theoretically, you can import and export GPX files from RideCommand. However, it won't accept GPX files from Ride Planner, InRoute, or Revver at this time. So I did some testing. I basically downloaded a GPX file from a ride created in RideCommand, and then I tried to import it back to itself, and it won't accept it. It just gives an error and says, please select a GPX file. I did, however, export an Indian RideCommand GPX file and imported it to Harley Ride Planner, and Harley Ride Planner handled it well, had no problem importing the file, and it worked very well. The route was true. Now, once your ride is planned, you can share it via a link with your friends as it is web-based. You can also do a 3D flyover and watch the ride after it's planned on desktop or mobile. It's kind of cool at first, but I'm not sure how useful it actually is. Now, there is a mobile app, but it's also very dumbed down for iOS and Android. I will say that they have a beautiful dedicated iPad app. You can also record a ride on mobile, and you can see your planned rides as they sync up, but there is no visual or voice turn-by-turn navigation on mobile. You basically have to transfer the planned ride to your RideCommand unit on your bike. Now, you cannot plan a route or ride on the mobile or iPad app. You actually have to create it from a desktop. And finishing up here, RideCommand is not supported on Apple CarPlay or Android Auto at this time. Now, I'd say that if you're just getting started with planning rides, then this would be a great beginner ride planner app since it's very dumbed down and fairly straightforward. Then, once you get familiar with it, you could move on to something with more options and functionality. So if I had to rank these 4 apps in the order that I use them, it would be as follows. First would be Harley Ride Planner. Now, I've used this extensively for street trips as it works well with my Harley Boombox infotainment system, and it does have a ton of functionality baked in. And now it also has that off-road routing for more extreme off-road adventure riding. I also use its mobile app ride record function when I need to record a route. Second on my list would be InRoute. Now, I have this app as a backup to my Harley Ride Planner for street trips. So basically I have the same ride on both apps. I also use InRoute most often for off-road adventure trip planning, and I love the 3D maps for showing the terrain. I also love that it has a beautiful dedicated iPad app. Let me tell you, this app just works and works well every time, and I've really grown fond of it. Third on my list would be Revver. Now, I like Revver and do use it in place of InRoute from time to time for off-road adventure riding or as a backup to street rides on Harley Ride Planner. Really, the only reason I shy away from Revver at times is that it just has so many things going on and can just be too busy for me. I do really like the Butler maps and recommendations on Revver, however, and sometimes I'll go to Revver just to see those Butler maps and roads, and then I'll go back to one of my other planning apps. And number 4 on my list is Indian RideCommand. Now, it's a great, easy to use beginner ride planner. It's snappy, it's fast, it works well, but it lacks functionality and many of the options that I need, so I don't really use it. All right, there you go. Your journey's not done on the channel. I'm gonna pop a couple videos on the screen, hopefully something useful or entertaining, heck, maybe both. Anyways, after you're done on this channel, make sure you get out there and ride every chance you get, Bikeaholics. Peace.